Hi friends, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm really glad you found me. My name is Tina and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada. And to all of my wonderful friends returning, welcome back. I am so excited to share with you my first ever Christmas card series. I have never done this before on my YouTube channel, and I'm really looking forward to sharing some Christmas designs with you. I know many of you are in Christmas card making mode. Some of you are ready to get started, but maybe you don't know where to begin. So I wanted to offer you some ideas and give you some inspiration for your Christmas card designs this year. So every day for the next 7 days, I'm going to share a card with you, and today is card number 1. This is a simple card. It's perfect for those of you who are new to stamping. It's great for those of you who have limited supplies, but it's also a great card design for those of you who have been stamping for a long time and you're looking for something quick and easy but pretty. Some of the other cards I'm going to share with you throughout this series will incorporate some really neat techniques, as well as some cards that are going to be fabulous for mass producing, and some fun folds and a few other fun layouts that you can use not just for Christmas but all year round as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. Without further ado, let's start stamping. For card number 1, I am using a stamp set out of Stampin' Up's July-December 2022 mini catalog. It's on page 46. This is the Perched in a Tree stamp set. It also comes with a beautiful set of dies. So let me show these to you. Here's the set. I love anything with birds, so I definitely had to get that, and I love the sentiments and the fonts. And the dies, oh my gosh, look at them. They are standalone. You could use these dies for so many different cards, but of course it's beautiful paired with the stamp set. Today's card, though, does not use the dies. We are just using the stamp set. So today's card is going to be basic. And by basic, I mean pretty much stamps, ink, and paper. But I'm going to make 2 cards, and I'm going to show you how you can use watercolor pencils and how you can use markers to color in this image. I am bringing in a piece of basic white cardstock. This measures 4 1/4 by 5, and my card base is Fairy Vanilla, and this measures 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. And let me grab my bone folder to get a really good crease on that. I'm going to be using Stays On ink for this. And the reason for that is because I want to use my watercolor pencils and I don't want my ink to bleed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my branch with my Stays On ink, and I'm going to stamp it off the page, off the cardstock, I should say, like so. And then I'm going to ink up my bird. I'm just going to stamp him right on top. There he is. I'm bringing in our watercolor pencils, and I just keep these in an old container that I have. These are 2 different sets. The link for all of the supplies are in the description below. Let me zoom in just a teeny tiny bit for you. So I'm going to use Pumpkin Pie. Let's see, this is Daffodil Delight. We're going to need some browns. We have some early espresso. And let's see, I'm looking for a gray. Here's a gray, basic gray. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use this color Bermuda Bay, but that might be pretty to use as well. So I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight, and all you're going to do is just color as you would ordinarily. Okay, and then I'm going to pull in some orange. Now, I don't have a bird picture in front of me to make sure that these colors are going on here accurately. But if you want to, you can certainly Google and find an image, search for a bird, and just copy whatever they have. But it's fun when you're the artist and you can just sometimes do what makes you happy. So I'm just layering on top with some more yellow, some more orange. Okay. Let's take a little bit of red, and we're going to put a little bit of red in there also. Okay. I'm going to take my gray next, and I'm just going to quickly color in the whole bird. Well, the bits I haven't colored yet. And I need black. Here's my black. So I'm going to add some black on the wing. And I'm leaving some of that gray open in there because I don't want to lose all that gray. Just going around the edge. And I'm just adding some black where we've got the little lines here on the image, just kind of following that. I am going to take some blue in because it makes me happy to add a little bit of blue. I'm going to put a little blue there. And let's take a little bit of the yellow and put some there. And some orange. Some more yellow. And maybe we'll put some blue here too. So that's really quick. Oh, forgot the beak. Let's do the beak. We'll do the beak in black as well. Pushing a little bit harder on the beak. And also the legs, the feet. Okay. I'm going to bring in my early espresso. And I'm not pressing hard. I'm just coloring lightly. But now I'm going to go in a little bit darker on the edge, just to add a little bit of shading. Okay, so that's simple, it's quick, pretty, right? But I'm going to bring in our blender pen. Blender pens have the same tip on each side, and they're clear. Go back and forth on your scrap paper, make sure there's no ink on them. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull in this color and blend it all together. Do you see? Immediately it just blends in that color. You can see how it picks it up. So I'm just working it in, and I'm working in the lighter colors, the yellow and the orange, before I go into the red and pull that red in. Okay. Do the same thing here. I'm going to work into the lighter colors, and then I'm going to blend all of this in. Now before I go into that blue, I'm going to go wipe this off of my scrap paper till it comes out clear, because I don't want to pull all that gray and lose the blue. I want to work the blue into the gray. So it's just subtle. Okay. Now I'm going to color in my branch. Now I'm going to ink up these images again, stamp them again, and show you another way that you can color your stamps. Now to color this image again, I'm using the same colors I used with the pencils. I'm using Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, Basic Gray, Early Espresso, and then I have brought in my Bermuda Bay marker and my basic black marker. And yeah, we're just going to color it the same way, but I wanted to show you the variations using pencil crayons, ink pads, and markers. That way you can use what you have at home already. So if you have an ink pad, but you don't have it in a marker, and you want to use a marker, use the blender pen if you have the blender pen. So this is the same pen I use for the watercolor pencils. So all I'm going to do is tap right into the ink pad. Let me zoom out. Okay, so I'm going to tap right into the ink pad, And I'm just going to add the color that way. So you get a really pretty wash. The other thing you can do is you can take a block, tap it into your ink pad, and pick the ink up off the block. You can see I got a lot of ink in that run. Okay. Oh yeah, we'll put a bit down here too. Pumpkin pie. Now this is an old style ink pad, but you can see where I've got ink on the lid. With the new style, which they're not new anymore because these have been around for a while, but it's harder to squeeze the lid to get that ink on the top. So that's where it comes real handy just to use a block to tap into your ink pad. So I'm going to add some orange. And you might want to tap off in your scrap paper first just to make sure you don't have too much orange, more than what you want to use on your card. And I used a little bit of red on that first card, so I'm going to pull some red in. A little bit more orange around here. So I'm going to grab my real red, tap a little bit onto my block, and just pick that up. A little goes a long way, and I don't want it to be too strong, so I'm scratching it off onto my scrap paper before I go into it here. And then I'm just going to work it in. And because I've been using the blender pen on this image, some of that cardstock is wet, so it's going to pill up a little bit. So you want to keep that in mind. Maybe let it dry a little bit. And you just work it in until you're happy with it. We'll put a little bit down here too. Whoops, that was more than what I wanted, so we're just going to work that in. There we go. And having seen that, I really want to add a little bit more red to this guy too, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going right on top of those watercolor pencils. Bring this guy back in. So we're bringing in the basic gray next. I'm just going to wipe the ink off of this block. I'm going to pick the ink up. And this time I'm going to use my water painter because I want to show you the different ways, again, that you can color. So this is our water painter. This is one of the brush ends that you get in the package from Stampin' Up. So all you do, and I'm already spilling water, is you put this underneath the top, fill it with water, and put it back on. I love our water painters. Whoops, I always go the opposite direction on this. Move this out of the way because I'm already getting water where I don't want it. And I like to just squeeze it onto my hand until the bristles are wet and it's ready to rock and roll. And I probably grabbed too wide a brush for this image, but that's okay, I'll make it work. There we go. Water's coming out now. Okay. And again, this is why we're using StazOn, so that this doesn't bleed. So I am just picking up a little bit, squeezing more water from the barrel. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to add my wash of gray. I'm going to work it a little bit into that yellow orange. And we'll put a little bit in here too. And I want it to be darker on the wing. Just a bit. Okay. And now, Bermuda Bay marker. So you could use your marker directly to the cardstock, but it's going to give you a much stronger color. And I just want to add a touch of this blue. So I am putting it down on my block, and you could use either the blender pen or the water painter. Either will work, either will pick up the color. See, and you just add it on. And we'll put a little bit up here. Just work it in. Add a little bit down here. There we go. Okay. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on how you can use the watercolor pencils, the ink pads, and the markers. And then, you know, if you've got a blender pen or a water painter, it gives you a few different ways that you can use the products. And I just realized we still have our early espresso branch to do. And I'm going to use my black marker to color in his beak and his feet. Maybe you might want to use the journal tip on this marker. Get into those tiny little places. Now I'm bringing in my Pacific Point ink pad and one of our Stamp and Blend sponges. And I'm just going to go back and forth, load it up with color, and I'm just going to go right around the edges and fill in some of that white. Do the same thing with the card with the watercolor pencils. I'm going to do the same thing with the Night of Navy. I'm just going to pick some up on my blending brush. And I'm going to go around the edges again, but I don't want to cover up all that Pacific Point. So I'm just going to go closer to the edge. Working in those corners a bit. Isn't that pretty? Do the same thing with this one. And I'm going off on my scrap paper first and then pulling the ink in. So I'm not just taking it right from the ink pad and going right onto my cardstock. I'm working off the scrap paper first, or on I should say, and then moving it over onto my cardstock. That way, if there's a whole, like, too much ink on it, it's not going to look blotchy on my card. So working off on the scrap paper, then pulling it over onto the cardstock. Now it's time to add the sentiment, and I'm going to do heat embossing for that. I'm going to do one card with the Let Heaven and Nature Sing, and the other card wishing you abundant peace and joy. I'm going to emboss one with gold and one with silver so you can see the difference. So I'm just tapping on my embossing buddy, and I'm going to pick up my stamps. And I'm going to use my first marking pad. Sprinkle on the gold powder on the first one. And the silver. I'm going to set those with the heat tool. So now I want to add some snow. So there is a little splatter image in here. I love splatter images, and that's what I'm going to use. So again, embossing buddy. You want to get that anti-static powder onto your card so that you don't get embossing powder where you don't want it. I'm only going to add a little bit here and there. I can always go back and add more if I want to, but better to go less and not too much and add more. Okay, time for the white powder. If you wanted to, you could take our white craft ink pad and you could add white around the edge. So I'm going to do that on just one, just so you can see. You could use our blending brush to do this, but I don't want to add a whole lot of white. So I'm just ever so lightly going around the edges. It's subtle, but it's there, and it's pretty. See the difference in the corners? Now, before I mount these to my card base, I need a little glitter. So I'm gonna grab my clear Wink of Stella, and I'm gonna go right on top of my my bird. So this is the bird that used the watercolor pencils. So this will blend those colors together even more versus the inks, because the inks are more permanent in a way. These will keep working into each other. So I'm going to go off my paper a bit, make sure there's no more color in there before I pull in these colors. I'm going to go right on top of his eyes. Do the same thing here. If you want to, let's see what happens if we tap some of this on. Get a few splatters here and there. Do the same thing on this one. I'm just tapping. Whoops, got a bigger splat there than I wanted, but that's okay. There we go. Those are ready to go onto the card base. So I'm going to set those aside because I want that that glitter splatter there to dry. So I'm going to do the inside layers for my card. These are both basic white and they both measure 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to do the edges exactly like I did here with the Pacific Point and the Night of Navy. I'm going to emboss the inside of my cards, one in silver and one in gold, and I'm going to use 2 different stamp sets. I'm going to use Inspired Thoughts, and I want to use Wishing You All the Beautiful Gifts of Christmas, and that is going to be for this card, Wishing You Abundant Joy and Peace, and then Wishing You All the Beautiful Gifts of Christmas. I think that's perfect to put on the inside, and that's going to be stamped with gold. Now, if you ever can't get your stamps off your case. If they're really stuck, just take your pick tool and just lift it up in the corner, because that one did not want to come off for all the tea in China. So let's go ahead, stick that on, get my first mark. That one, and then this one for the silver, I'm gonna pull in Framed and Festive, which is new and part of a awesome bundle. So the link for that will be in the description below. And for this one, I'm going to use May This Season Be Filled with Peace and Joy. Okay, time to put these on our card base. So we'll put this on inside first. So there are those 2 cards finished. Can you tell which was the watercolor pencils and which was the inks? Kind of hard, isn't it? This is the watercolor pencils, and this one is with the inks. So those are very simple, fun cards, but of course I do incorporate some various coloring techniques, because I wanted to show you different ways that you can use products you have at home. And of course it shows some heat embossing, because that's always such a wow. The fun glitter with the Wink of Stella and the splatters. Now you could keep these cards just as they are, but I want to show you what it would look like if you chose to step it up just a tiny bit with some ribbon and embellishments. So here I've taken just a little bit of our 1/2-inch natural woven ribbon, and I have tied it simply into a knot and trimmed it. Then I have our textural elements. I'm going to take one of those. I think I like 2 of them. So I'm actually just going to take my markers and color those on. So I'm going to take my mossy green marker, and I'm just going to color in the stems. You could use the Stamp and Blend markers as well, whatever you have. Red. Do my berries. Now I love using all our Stampin' Up! Products, so I'm going to pull in our Snowfall Accents Puff Paint, and I'm going to add some to the berries and a little bit to the tips of the branch. So I'm just squeezing a little bit out. Actually, you barely even need to squeeze. You can almost just tap it on and it just naturally comes out. And then we're going to heat that up with the heat gun. How cool is that? And we'll put a little bit here. I'm just gonna, whoops, pounce some of that on. And put a little bit on the branch. There we go. Okay. Let's see how this looks. So the puff paint picked up a lot of that red on the berries. So I'm going to add some more just on top of that puff paint, just because I want it to be white. That looks so cool. I love the texture. Isn't that fun? What a fun way to take a beautiful card, simple on its own, and then just kick it up with that texture. And now the last thing we need to do is add my little bit of ribbon. And to do that, I'm going to bring in a glue dot. I'm going to try to position this so I don't hide all those berries. So I'm just going to push down. I'm going to trim this up just a tiny bit. Same with this. And then I'm going to take another glue dot to hold those tails down. Okay, so I'm going to put one here. And I'm just going to use the tip of my tool to lift this up a little bit and then push that down. Same thing for here. Put down my glue dot, lift this up, push that down. And there it is. I hope you enjoyed these cards today and got some great ideas that you can incorporate into your own Christmas cards. I'm often asked if you can case my cards, which means copy and share everything. By all means, I'm always happy when somebody wants to take a card and completely copy it. That's what I'm here for, is to give you ideas. So feel free to take these ideas, copy them exactly as I've made them, or tweak them, make them your own, use stamp sets you already have. And again, you can keep it as simple as you wish, basically a one-layer card, or you can step it up by adding some ribbon and some fun elements. But I really enjoyed making those cards. Really, really fun. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. That really helps my channel, and the little bell to notify you every time I upload a new video. I am looking forward to card number 2 of this series. Until then, take care and happy stamping.